his plays do have a tendency to backfire.
There has been a time, where Woody tries to go for a roam and it isn't as successful, whereas Kaiwing has been rather consistent when he goes for his plays, and it helped them secure the victory back during spring playoffs for the spring championship, as well as, being a big factor back with MSS, and oftentimes also just being a mega factor in allowing Unified to succeed when it comes into the late game that PSG sometimes look to rely upon. Let's go ahead, though, and get into draft. Taipei J team going to be on your blue side, PSG Talon on the red, and both away. Your number one jungler is going to be taken away from both sides. That's going to be both a Nidalee as well as a Graves band. Pair that up with the Varus band coming out from PSG and the Cinder band from Taipei J team.
Yeah, Nidalee and Graves hitting the bench does mean Trundle is now the jungler both teams should be looking towards, unless we see the curse of PCS Volibear coming back to bite us. I mentioned the tank had a standout performance on that TF in his debut game. It's been such a good pick for some of these mid laners that choose to influence the side lane more often than not, and that is the PCS style now. I'm pleasantly surprised to see you have a lot of team facilitators like that Galio still available for both of these guys to opt into.
And here we go, Trundle. Likely going to go ahead and be the number one lock-in. Of all the Trundles I have been seeing, Hana's actually been very successful, of course, with his. The first 2 times that we got to see it back in the first week of summer, had insane KDA on something like 16 KDA on a bloody Trundle. It's been actually a monster on it, so I'm actually, usually impressed when he's able to bring that out. Now for the side of PSG, what do we want to try and prioritize? What do we want to try and lock in immediately? We want to try and get that Aphelios right away for Unified. That has always been his go-to. Currently has, still 100% win rate for summer, and something along the lines of 92% win rate when it comes to the entirety so far of Season 10.
I think if you're PSG here, you take the Galio alongside the Aphelios, and then you take a carry jungler next rotation. Of course, you could opt for a support and just get yourself a winning lane. Of course, Kaiwing being that standout playmaker on the Thresh, having found so many picks, so many highlight reel-worthy hooks the last time we saw him on this champ. Basically a signature at this point.
All right, here we go, though. Ezreal is going to go ahead and get locked in on the side of Lil V, so not opting into one of those niche picks that he does have, like that Sivir. Instead, wants to go with the Ezreal, wants to have a little bit of safety when going up against the Thresh of Kaiwing.
Right, so suddenly with the Ezreal pick, you are seeing J-Team default into a perhaps bot lane that wants to sit back while the Trundle focuses topside. Karma still available, very, very good pick for mid or support, but they want to get some priority down on the top.
All right, see now, though, is going to be that Wukong getting locked in for Rest, which, again, we've started to see a little bit of the resurgence of Rest himself, starting to live up back to his performances that we saw back in Season 9. Was a little bit quiet during spring, but summer has come around, and it seems he's been able to bring back a bit of that aggression that we saw. And for River, looks like they're opting into his more signature favorite pickup, being that Lee Sin getting locked in.
Yeah, River, of course, having had some standout performances on Lee Sin in the past, can influence pretty much every lane across the board if he so wishes. And now it's J-Team saying, look, we've already locked our Trundle, so you know for a fact this Wukong is top. We do need to, start thinking about trimming out some of those answers to the Wukong, like the Renekton.
All right, now though, Galio going to be banned out here on the side of PSG. Don't wish to have Nestea on the champion in mid lane, which, once again, is just one of his go-to pocket pickups. Might actually expect him, though, still on something like a Karma or even possibly the Morgana, with the fact that he's already got, again, a good amount of damage on his squad with that Wukong and Ezreal. Mordekaiser, though, is going to be banned out here by Taipei J team.
Yeah, if you're PSG here, you're looking for the counter pick mid, so you do want to trim out some of the more safer blind picks for Nestea. You mentioned the Morgana, but I think that's only really going to come out as a direct counter pick. So I think you just ban out maybe LeBlanc, Syndra's already gone, Zoe also an option, and whoa, okay. We did see that in LEC yesterday. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And if there ever was an AD carry to pick it alongside, it would be the Ezreal. But yeah, definitely not the champion she was before.
Yeah, we have mentioned, last week it was kind of the departing patch of Yuumi. She isn't as, capable as she once was, at least for the majority of Season 10 so far. Zoe going to be banned out here against tank. So now for PSG, which solo lane do you wish to try and get your counter pick, if anything, actually? PSG have the option to get both counter picks as that Wukong got shown pretty early, so Hanabi has full option. Do we trust this gangplank? Last time the gangplank gets
Hanabi
locked
gangplank
in,
is... Yeah, you're not a fan of it, I know, because he gives first blood. He gives first blood all the time.
But he gives first blood like a machine. Every time he plays gangplank. Level 2, I swear, if he pushes in and Hana just goes top and even if he gets a flash, I'm going to have so many words for Hanabi. I like that Bard pickup though. A little bit of a change up here for Woody as that gets locked in for JT.
Yeah, you outrange the Thresh, you trade with him pretty reliably, and as well as that, you can use your E to just travel around the map and make plays while Ezreal sits back, farms under tower, does his own thing. Something to consider though is that PSG do have that cannon barrage to really make the bot lane kind of skirmishes a little bit spooky, but speaking of spooky...
There you go, Nesty gets to bring out the Fiddlesticks, and this seems to be like the one champion that PSG have trouble with. Tank was completely shut down in his matchup up against Moonblack when he ran the champion on the side of Hong Kong Attitude. I believe it was Tank on an Azir, so you try to do out DPS the Fiddlesticks. Doesn't matter. Fiddlesticks just kind of looks at you and says thank you very much. I'm interested. Is the Lissandra kind of what you want to go for here up against this Fiddlesticks? Is this the answer for PSG?
So the thing about Lissandra here is that if you ult offensively on the Fiddlesticks after he ults onto you, his ult doesn't stop, but of course you do stop his drain and anything else he can do. It's a matchup where if the Lissandra can continue to push, the Fiddle never really gets too much agency in that lane, but at the same time, it's a difficult gank just because Fiddle is so tanky. And that does mean that typically while you have Lissandra lanes being super easy to follow up on, super easy to influence, this is maybe one of the ones where you have to sit back as J-Team and think, alright, we're actually in a good position where our mid laner isn't going to be under too much pressure, and instead we can focus our attention towards supporting our side lanes as they do try to get ahead.
Now my question is this a matchup that you should be taking Cleanse into if you're Fiddlesticks, if you're going up to Lissandra? Are you going to get some heated words if you don't see a Cleanse right now being picked up by Nesty, Briz?
Actually, because it's Fiddle, I'm like, okay, a little bit apprehensive towards completely writing him off, but at the same time, yeah, I would love to see the Cleanse, because Cleanse versus Lissandra are broken. I do wonder if we'll see Cleanse on the Ezreal, by the way, just because Hook is kind of scary, Lissandra ult kind of scary. Nothing else really too scary though, but yeah.
There's still some scariness here. And of course, this is our match of the week for J-Team. If they're able to take down PSG, they will cement themselves at the top of the standings come summer. PSG looking to reclaim that title and try and tie it up as we load on into the red for our final game of the night.
Welcome to Summer's Rift.
Gotta love that Tank is like, you know what I need? I need to bring out an FPX logo right when we're showing the logos up in the sky. It is not a 3-team battle for anyone that might be confused. Still waiting on that game mode to be added into League of Legends. Maybe soon. Probably never, actually. Three-team Summoner Rift might be a little bit too chaotic. I, though, hope to see some form of action compared to the game we just witnessed between AHQ and Resurgence. I'll be frank, that game put me a little bit to sleep, but now we're into our marquee matchup of the weekend. For this top of the table, winner pretty much gets to take bragging rights until the next time the two teams face off against each other in the second round robin.
Not only that, but if PSG do lose this, you can write everything off as being the Fiddlesticks boogeyman just completely ruining this team. Everything about this team can be, you know, you can look at their flaws and you can just write them all off as them being unable to play against Fiddlesticks if they do lose this. So, yeah. This is definitely something that makes the analysis a little bit easy. No. Of course, that's not actually the case here. But at the same time, it will be really troubling if they do end up losing this one, because as we said, PSG, clear favourites, and rest. Why are you trading with the GP at level 1? All he has to do is grasp Parley, and he sustains while also poking you out. It's disgusting, but that's why the champion flourishes.
We'll see here, though. Rest wants to push it back up. He's saying, you know what, Hanabi, I want to make sure you don't give over first blood or give over a flash. But you do see Hanabi not afraid to still step up in that lane. Hana, though, double buff. Not even going to go for his third camp, making a direct beeline toward top lane. And Hanabi doesn't have any vision.
Yeah, the first blood on the Hanabi GP is definitely a thing.
Oh my god, Hanabi again! You have to flash to safety. When will he learn, Abriz?
Yeah, the Trundle actually not taking Pillar at level 2 kind of ruined the follow-up potential on that gank, but hey, we take it. Flash is down now, no fruit for the GP either. He took Barrel at level 2, so yeah, if there's ever a return gank top, Hanabi could find himself in a little bit of trouble. This also got the pressure off of Rest though, so he can now sustain up through what was a pretty difficult lane to navigate.
Fun fact, Talon did a little piece of content before the game, and Unified directly I think, was it Unified? It might have been Kaiwing, who directly called out Hanabi and said, you know, our match today, please support us. And then he looked over at Hanabi and said, I swear to God, Hanabi, do not give first blood or any kind of advantage pre-level 3. Like, he actually called out Hanabi. So, even the team realizes, hey, Hanabi, calm down the aggression. We know you like your game playing. But maybe try and save a little bit here. This is the matchup where Tank, I don't know, it feels like just Tank does not know how to play up against his Fiddlesticks.
It's a little bit rough, yeah. Both these mages, though, pretty difficult to lock down, pretty difficult to kill. Aftershock as well, lending a lot of survivability to the pair of them. Have pretty large amounts of wave clear between the two of them, but as we said, difficult ask for River to gank, because all you do is just fear the Lee Sin mid-Q when he's following up on the Sonic Wave with the Resonating Strike. And yeah, not really a good scenario to find yourself in. CS gap top looks huge, but it's not insurmountable, as you do have a 10+ wave crashing into Rest Tower right now, and suddenly this game, it looked pretty even, and it will continue to be pretty even, despite the top laner of PSG blowing his flash at level 2.
Despite Hanabi just doing some Hanabi things, alright? That's the one takeaway that we have. And likely we won't start to see that massive advantage go anywhere until, you know, we start seeing those level 6s come online. Tank, though, already forced to have to teleport back. Doesn't feel all that great, personally, as you maybe want to have that for a possible play. You want to try and maybe lock down this Ezreal, try and go for a play early on. Nonetheless, though, River already just going back into his jungle, picking up 2 longswords, looking his way over toward the Warrior channel.
Yeah, Pinkwood placed deep by Hanado does reveal the fact that Lee Sin was there, so they have a good indication of where the Lee Sin is. It means Rest can freely harass Hanabi. It means that Nesty can just continue pressing W on the wave and on tank and just push this like no tomorrow. And it means that Hana does now have a good indication of where he should be as the Trundle, shadowing lanes and just being a human deterrent, or I guess a troll deterrent, just basically a counter gank on a stick.
Yeah, did get spotted out by Ward as he does clear that out, so PSG have an idea where this Trundle currently lies, kind of on the bot side of the map. Teleport going to be used here by Rest, so it won't be an advantage either side for this first Dragon fight, though Hanabi will have that global ultimate if time lines up nicely as he's about to hit that level 6.
Yeah, Hanabi trying to fish for the free Q onto the Wukong. Interestingly enough, by the way, the Wukong now maxing E in lane. That was what old Wukong used to do. It's for the additional gap closer to get on top of the GP, to trade more reliably. You get a bit of attack speed as well, so you can just stick to him with your Conqueror stacks. It does mean you don't have the armor shred, and it means you're hitting for less immediate damage, but your prolonged damage is a little bit higher, and it does mean you have more windows of opportunity to actually get up and onto a champion that is notoriously hard to lock down.
Meanwhile, bot lane, unfortunately for PSG, they were the first ones to head on back, so that allowed priority to go in favor of Taipei J team. And with that, first dragon of the game, going to go on over to the blue side as Hana is able to secure it.
This is what we expected in our prep, though. This is what we said. We said, look, this team, PSG, they sit back 15 minutes, you can do what you want, and then they just explode the game there and then. Issue being, the last time they did this against HKA were too far ahead at the 15-minute mark for PSG to actually respond. And if J-Team continue to apply the pressure, it puts a really, really weird burden of execution on PSG to start being proactive in a stage of the game that they're not necessarily comfortable being you know, proactive with it.
Also saw their tank ended up going back to base. Wanted to pick up some boots, I guess, on his most recent back. So he didn't have a whole lot of gold to spend himself. Nesty happy now has the double Doran's ring, as well as the Kindle gem, and this Fiddle will likely never die unless, you know, Ripper comes by to actually make a gank happen, as he'll neither run out of mana, because his mana cost is so darn.
I mean, as well as that though, you look at the comp from PSG, you see only Lissandra as the single AP threat. The Spirit Visage, that's such a crucial part of the Fiddle's core, suddenly becoming a little bit less appealing. Or, it's still appealing, because yeah, the increased healing is beautiful, plus health helps, CDR, all very, very nice. But less rewarding, you could say, because he certainly could find himself being at least a little bit killable through some of the more AD-heavy burst potential of this PSG lineup.
Yes, I hope you viewers at home are ready to hear balloons popping consistently. So he is rocking.
Trundle took the blue! No! How is he going to sustain now?
Oh no! Wait, he's still at half mana, and he's been spamming Drain for the last minute and a half. Never mind.
2 Doran's rings.
The power.
Nice.
Can Fiddlesticks even, like, wear rings? He's got a pretty big claw. He's got a pretty nasty claw going on there.
His long, slender fingers, like me.
The piano hands, as they were. I want piano
13 key stretch on a standard piano, my friend.
13 key stretch. Oh boy. Tank himself, though, gonna go ahead, pick up his blue buff. Hana was kind of seeking to maybe go for an invade. How's his top lane going again? Oh, Hanabi's got himself about a 2 CS wave advantage, 2 creep waves. Starting to pile in. Also picked up the Sheen, so that, you know, Q is going to start doing a little chunk of damage alongside the Grasp. See, can anything happen elsewhere on the map? River just trying to prevent that control ward from being taken.
It's the
fake.
clone.
That's
okay,
the
yeah, it's the fake. It's fake. It's fake. It's fake. That juked me, and I'm spectating. So, yeah. Wow, credit to PSG for not being like, what? But yeah, that is certainly something to get you refocused on the mid lane. Yeah.
If, you know, you just pushed out a Fiddlesticks and somehow he teleports behind you with a flash. Oh, let's see this. Does River actually want to go for this play? Ends up just tagging Woody with the Q. Now the Bard realizing, hey, there's a Lee Sin behind us. Meanwhile, Tank, unfortunately, up against the pillar. That's going to be Cannon Barrage coming out too, but again, not a whole lot of damage here early from Hanabi.
I'm actually happy with that from the side of J-Team, though, because they forced the Cannon Barrage out, and that lets the bot lane be a little bit more aggressive.
Speaking of aggressive, that was, of course, the Tempered Fate being used by the Bard of Woody, forcing Kaiwing to have to take a flash, and that's the one thing I'll admit here. I feel like Kaiwing has been kind of just stuck in this bot lane. We've seen it pushed in a couple times where he hasn't been able to roam, and you know, maybe that's something that Tank would really love to have, considering there hasn't been really much action from River.
Actually, really, really beautiful here. Just looking at the Wukong skill order again, I really do tunnel on this a lot, but here I play top lane. You go from 3 points in the E for the additional gap closing to 3 points in the Q. Armor Shred, beautiful, and getting the Triforce rather than the Cleaver. And that is because your Q already shreds the armor. You don't need that additional armor shred from the Black Cleaver, plus Ezreal and Fiddle are your carries. They do mostly magic damage. Really, really, really cool adaptation from Rest. When you see a lot of players just go autopilot and, you know, max Q, get Black Cleaver on Wukong, and yeah, it feels good sometimes, but this is the optimal play right now, and this is where maybe you'll see Rest start to apply some kill pressure onto Hanabi in lane.
I'm just saying, I'm literally watching an autopilot bot pretty much in mid lane with Nesty. Walks into lane, drains the minions, walk back away. Simple, easy life it would seem. River, getting rather aggressive, but still not pulling the trigger on the kick combo, realizing that Hana would likely survive and doesn't want to chase between 2 towers, as there's been absolutely barely any damage coming out from Tank here.
Yeah, Lee Sin Lissandra, a very, very potent duo, of course. That is the infamous duo that took HKA by surprise from Alpha during that first week, that really set my expectations to fail for the rest of the split, as we've discussed time and time again. But yeah, once you get locked down by one, you get locked down by the other. It's really... Oh, River!
Trying to get himself a quick play, ends up popping it, but in comes the Crow Storm, and into the Bard ultimate it goes. Woody able to delay the inevitable. Tank, though, is going to follow through, and that's going to be a 1-for-1. Hanabi with the teleport, wants to rejoin in on the fight, wants to try and make a play happen, able to get the cannon on to both. There was actually no hook coming out from Kaiwing. Meanwhile, Unified, he just goes on forward, finds himself a quick kill. Rests now, teleports into the fight, a little bit out of position. Might try and go for a re-engage here if he wants to. A nice knock up from the Cyclone. Does force out his flash, though, to get himself back to safety.
Yeah, huge amount of credit going towards Unified there. We were looking at that big play with the 4-man Bard ult. Unfortunately, 2 of those were enemies, 2 of them were allies. It looked flashy, it was not all that great though. And Woody, he lived for a long time. He did well to make it out here, but then where can he move? He was rooted for the most of that. He had to awkwardly try and tunnel away from it. Doesn't work out, gets picked off. And Unified just finds Lil V mid-rotation. The Aphelios free casting here. Doesn't matter that you E, doesn't matter that you flash. The Aphelios man is coming for you.
There you go. So in the end, PSG, I think, are going to be happy. That's now a 1,500 gold lead that they're able to finally kind of make something happen. Does unfortunately mean that Nesty did pick up the kill on the Fiddle, and that just means he gets himself some bonus MR as well as a little bit more cooldown reduction. So it will continue to be annoying, but nonetheless, does mean Riptail will likely go in favor here of Taipei J team as they're able to translate something off that fight into an objective.
Yeah, this Fiddle now not necessarily on core items, but on good items for this stage of the game. A lot of CDR, which means more ults, more drains, a lot of bulkiness, durability, has some MR from the Merc Treads, armor from the Glacial Shroud, health from the Kindle Gem. He's got it all, and he is more than fine to continue to last this one out. Just sits in mid lane, draining the creep wave, bleeding resources from the enemy team, but unfortunately not really generating an advantage of his own.
You saw there Woody trying to fish for a quick ultimate onto Unified. Unified, though, able to sidestep away, doesn't even have to use the flash. And let's see here. Nice collapse coming out from PSG, realizing, hey, Hana and Nesty maybe might be trying to roam themselves as they'll push on through, get vision as well as taking away that red buff here. Woody, though, might want to try and go for another re-engage. River gets stunned up. Hook is there, but it is going to be the Lantern getting himself back to safety.
Yeah, it looked like the Lantern was going to time out, but fortunately, despite the Bard stun coming through, there's enough time for the quick click to come through from River. And now Nesty just holding Unified 1v1. That's nice for Lil V. It means he can farm up in a side lane against Hanabi, but at the same time, it means that, you know, Fiddle, while he can free farm, whoever's against him can also free farm, and that is letting the Aphelios scale towards Unified's very, very comfortable mid-game teamfight power spike.
Unfortunately, actually can't afford his Infinity Edge on the most recent back, so a little bit behind when we see the pace of the highly funneled. What is it now?
It's the same for Rest, actually. They're both like sat on all the components for their core first item.
They're like, we would really like to finish it for this upcoming fight, which they still have time. It's another 2.5 minutes until we have our next dragon, which, to note, is an Ocean Soul, so I actually expect both of these teams to be fighting over these consistently, as Hook is going to land coming out from Kaiwing. Easy pick onto Woody. There you go, kill going on over to River. And
now you're seeing why Thresh has a 10-game victory out of 15 total games for the PCS. Really, really cool champ, I suppose, especially for your more industrious playmaker supports. Kaiwing, of course, it's his signature champ. He threads the needle, he finds the picks, and PSG, they get a free kill, they use it to snowball into further vision, camp taking, pushes in side lanes. Really, really good application of pressure after getting what seemed like a very, very small lead for themselves that just quickly snowballed into something that could very well prove to be insurmountable.
Yeah, very easy play set up there. Woody, unfortunately, no vision, was trying to get something to the river, ends up getting himself killed. Nicely done by PSG to deny that away. Nice and easy pickup. Meanwhile, too, Hanabi was able to pick up the first brick bonus of the game, and PSG find themselves now up about 3,500 gold over Taipei J team with only an extra kill or two in pocket alongside that tower.
River now fishing for a flank again as Kaiwing just throwing out the hooks left and right, but Woody learnt his lesson. Not going to ward anywhere unattended anymore. Has Hana for that insurance, has Lil V floating around as well. And this Fiddle just chilling in Fog of War as you'd come to expect.
There you go. River's going to get taken down low, but he's able to survive. But in the end, It will allow Taipei J Team to go ahead and set vision up around this Drake. So for the side of PSG, they will have to check that once again. ST, though, does not have Flash nor the ultimate available for a possible fight.
Yeah, we mentioned PSG very, very AD heavy relative to the rest of the comps we'd come to expect this meta. Lissandra being that only threat does mean that this Frozen Heart Rush from the Fiddle going to prove to be very, very rewarding. This Rift Herald not so rewarding because no more plates, but could secure a tower back in favor of JT.
And nice to see here also from Hanabi, actually picked up the Executioners immediately, so going to try and lay that down during the team fight, obviously, wherever that Fiddlesticks is going to be. It kind of prevents him from having to soak up all that damage, even though he is going to be getting pretty tanky himself. Also to note too, Tank has been able to actually farm up a Storm, by the way, on this Lissandra. Currently sitting at 190 CS at 17.5 minutes, currently almost 50 CS above Nestea. Means this Lissandra is getting farmed up pretty well. It's going to be coming online quite shortly.
Yeah, the solo lane farm disparity in favor of PSG right now is where a lot of this gold lead does come from. Highwing not checking with his base, checking with his lantern, and that does mean that this Drake is going to be pretty free for PSG.
So there you go. Second dragon for PSG secured, working their way up to Ocean Soul. Seems to be the plan here, and I guess the question is now kind of for J-Team is when are we going to actually start seeing some fights come out? They have a pretty nice Wombo combo, obviously, if they're able to line up a good Bard ultimate into a Cyclone and Crowstorm. Can be pretty devastating to PSG, but there's going to be a point here where PSG is starting to just get all these neutral objectives, and Hanabi's in the side lane just being a pirate and going, oh, I'd like myself some farm and free gold.
Yeah, keep in mind that PSG are finding these picks and these winning situations without the Cannon Barrage being committed. This is not a good precedent for J-Team to find themselves in, and with that super scary GP plus Aphelios scaling, combined with 3 heavy engaged threats on the side of PSG, J-Team really, really need to be careful about how much room to breathe they're giving to certain members of this composition.
And there you go. Tower's going to be taken up in top lane as well, so only the mid first tier tower remains for the first tiers across the Rift. Meaning, you know, J-Team still have that kind of bastion of vision from the mid lane, but once that collapses, then PSG, they can start moving in that ward line and preventing, you know, some of these flanks to come through for Nestea on this Fiddlesticks.
That being said though, we've said it time and time again in the Fiddle itemization, the focus on armor, because PSG, heavy AD focus. Ninja Tabi, super valuable for anyone that can get them, and Gauntlet for the Ezreal going to be very, very valuable for Lil V, even in these later team fights, because you can queue from a couple of screens away, kite people out, and survive if someone does get on top of you.
Meanwhile, River going to go ahead and start up the second Rift Herald, and will likely now go in favor of PSG, so we're able to equal out that take, as it was taken first by Taipei J-Team earlier in the game. They'll have themselves that available. They want to try and knock down this first tier tower in mid lane as Rest continues to go back into the side lane trying to match up against Hanabi.
Yeah, now we're looking at J-Team as saying, look, they need immediate success in the next 5 to 10 minutes, because after that, that's where PSG really, really do put a damper on whatever this team can do. Because regardless of if you're even, if you're, you know, not that far behind necessarily, just looking at the champions, it's a really, really difficult ask of J-Team to go blow for blow in these 5v5 fights.
Yeah, you need a wicked combo to come out from like a Cyclone of the Wukong into a Crowstorm and maybe a True Shot Barrage, and maybe then you have enough damage to take down a squishy member of PSG. So we'll see whether or not that's going to be the case here. It really does feel like we're kind of waiting on Woody to be that main engage for the team, as unfortunately there isn't a whole lot of other options on the side of J-Team.
Yeah, J-Team now just trying to farm it up, as we mentioned before. 3-manning mid, 1-3-1ing with the solo laners. It's pretty standard. Ezreal does it well. He's super safe. But you do have the guaranteed hard engage coming through from PSG. That does make it a little bit scary for J-Team to be so dispersed across the map.
What's also scary too, you see Unified on your screen now. Runan's completed on this Aphelios, so these team fights start to feel pretty good. PSG starting to get in line, online with those star carries that we have seen time and time again. There is a reason Unified has a 92% win rate on this Aphelios over the course of the split. Sure, the champion's 200 years, but
TP.
he's still very talented. TP is going to come out. It is Nesty on the Fiddlesticks. Is going to do a point-blank ultimate, trying to get a fear, but he's only using it to get to safety. Now Cannon Barrage going to come out, doing some decent damage, gets the slow hook, not going to land though on Nesty as the Fiddlesticks able to get into the magical journey.
River kicked Rest out at the start of that fight, and that's what you want to do. You need to kick out the Fiddle, you need to kick out the Wukong, but you don't need to do this.
That was nasty. That cleanse coming out in time, able to just prevent it. Meanwhile, Unified jumping forward, tries to take down Rest, and he will. It's a 1-for-1 as Lil V able to trade on back with PSG. They already lost another member as Tank was taken down early on.
Relatively greedy from the side of PSG there. Tank just moving forward without the rest of the team. Unified to boot as well, just going crazy like, yeah, I'm a flash forward, get myself a solo kill on this Wukong. Gets turned around on. This Fiddle ult in Vision was such a power play from Nesty. Didn't really work out, but hey, we take it.
Can we talk about
and
also,
then Tank.
like, can we talk about Lil V's cleanse here? Because this was like close to frame perfect. Like, it was nasty. Whew. Close. Couple frames he had that
I like
on.
it. And then Unified just gets greedy. Flash down into the Lantern, or walk down into the Lantern. I guess the Fiddle spawn was kind of scary, but yeah, just I don't know if trading 1-for-1 there was the best play, especially since it gives J-Team an avenue for some Drake control.
And that equals out the points if they are able to get it. Let's see though, Hanabi already roaming down, putting down the barrels, able to get some decent chunk damage onto that Ezreal. Dragon will reset though. J-Team got themselves that extra brush to hide in themselves, and there you go. What is PSG going to do? Are they going to try and go for the steal? And he's able to secure it once again. River able to take back the objective. Crowstorm into the back line. So goes Rest, and they take down Unified. River able to get himself back to safety. 2 kills though, traded back by PSG. Kaiwin goes into stasis. Is going to go ahead and get feared himself, unfortunately. Nesty just can't do enough damage. It's a Tank Fiddlesticks in the very end. 3 kills going on over to PSG, as well as now 1 Dragon away from Ocean Soul.
And locking down Unified makes this fight so appealing for J-Team, but when they commit all of their damage, all of their CC, all of their everything towards shutting down this Aphelios, it becomes a very, very difficult ask of them to actually shut down the rest of this team comp. Lissandra flourishes in enclosed spaces. Once she gets 1 assist, it's an Ice Ghost, another one, an Ice Ghost. So much ease of execution from this PSG comp in enclosed spaces, which, as it turns out, neutral objectives are mostly located in.
And there you go. It's a 5,000 gold lead now for PSG. More items starting to come online. That's Essence Reaver completed by Hanabi, by the way, so has himself some extra cooldown reduction, some more crit chance as well. On top of that, Executioners that he has been sitting on this entire time, ever since his 2nd or 3rd back. And you know what, PSG? Sure, Unify gets caught out during the fight, but that's kind of the issue with this Fiddlesticks. It isn't that traditional, you know, hyper magic damage that can just melt the team. It is there just trying to soak up damage, cause a disruption with the fear. And unfortunately, once you've used everything, once J-Team has, you know, blown all their ultimates on Unified, well, guess what? You still have to deal with Tank. You still have to deal with River. You have to deal with Hanabi, who are all still on high damage carries.
So, after Death's Dance, I believe the Wukong can actually start to beat up the GP in the side lane again. When that point of the game comes through, I'd like to see J-Team opt into just split pushing 1-3-1, 1-3-1, 1-3-1, because these 5v5s are not going their way. Bard needs to find picks, Fiddle needs to find picks, Trundle needs to find picks. You can't brute force into a Lissandra comp that just outlasts you.
You saw there? Taipei J-Team were thinking about setting up a play on Tank. Tank, though, 6th sense coming out, realizing something's going to be up, and decides to back off. So not able to get a pick here, and that's kind of what the feeling is right now. We haven't seen the picks come out from J-Team other than, you know, the first one that we saw. Hook is going to land immediately onto Lil V, gets the cleanse out. A nice ultimate coming out from the Bard, but the Gangplank ultimate is able to zone them off and prevent them from going for the play. Resto into the back line. Two-Shot Barrage finds the target on the Kaiwing. A nice multi-man knock-up coming once again. River goes in deep. Is it enough? Tank is still very healthy at this point. The health bar is going low on the side of J-Team, but unfortunately, it's not enough for PSG, as now Hanabi has to force a flash on the gangplank, gets himself back to safety, but as 3 members down for PSG, is now Baron in the eyes of Taipei J-Team.
J-Team find a pick again, and it's Unified that is caught out again. Venn diagram of death comes through. The Bard to set it up, the Fiddle to follow, the Wukong on top, and PSG, they line up and get knocked down.
There you go. It took some time, it took a couple of team fights, but finally ends up working in the favor of Taipei J-Team. With that, now Baron secured, only down by about 3,500, can start recovering some of their losses.
Yeah, and here's how this play started. Lil V getting a little bit antsy. He's forward, insta-cleanse again, by the way, beautiful. Fancy footwork. Death's Daughter in the Cannon Barrage zones out Lil V, but Rest is on the flank. Flashless bot lane from PSG, just get caught out, CC'd down. Once you're in their grasp, you are not getting out, and River tries to salvage this play with Tank, but he can't. There's nothing you can do to challenge that. Cool, Hanabi joined the fight, but what's he gonna do? Answer is, not too much of anything at this point. The rest of PSG fold, and J-Team suddenly back in the driver's seat.
On top of that too, the fact now that they're able to push back into PSG and take this first tier tower allows them to kind of get some ward coverage into the jungle of PSG, and that Fiddlesticks becomes spooky all over again. Gonna be that Gangplank trying to get himself back to safety. Unfortunately, ends up canceling the back himself. In comes that spook. In comes the ultimate, though, from the rest of the squad. Gonna try and turn this one around. Tank is a little bit too late to the party. Might be able to get enough damage here onto the Fiddle. The turret will do enough, and it's a trade 1-for-1. Hana pretty low. In comes River, though, on a flank. PSG, they want to collapse. They want to try and find something. Resonating Strike will connect, but River goes against his best wishes. Ends up just calling off the play.
Unified is here as well, but yeah, you need to chill out, because even though J-Team committed a lot, lost a lot for that play, they still have the Wukong with the Cyclone. Rest is still fishing for the play, Rest is still here, and Rest is still ready to carry this fight.
River, though, sneaks into the Dragon Pit. They do not know this Lee Sin is there. Finally is going to go ahead, pull the trigger, two-shot barrage. Unified goes down low, but does not get taken out. Kaiwing trying to do his best to prevent this from going a 3-man kick. But guess what, PSG? The rest of the team is separated. A teleport's going to come out once again. Tank is nearby, providing support. River, though, has to find a steal, or else it is not going to be the soul point in their favor. Unified still looking pretty healthy back over the wall, but unfortunately now getting collapsed upon. Going to get feared and gets pinned against by the pillar. Another beautiful Bard ultimate comes out, prevents Tank from advancing forward, and Taipei J-Team able to prevent Ocean Soul from going in favor of PSG.
Yeah, the Wukong there, the Jukes came through. Rest is just chilling, presses his S key, dances there, sits there, saying, look, Unified, is this the clone? Is this the real Wukong? If it's the real Wukong, you cannot move to back up or rejoin the rest of your team. Doesn't matter that the Aphelios gets all of his health back from a single Raptor camp. He is not in any position to follow up there, and just gets picked off once the Fiddle is back on the board. This fight is again just Wukong City, that Wukong carry. Rest showing up for J-Team. And PSG, they tried to salvage it, but there's nothing to be found past a certain point.
And all honesty, it's looking a lot more disjointed from PSG than what we are used to seeing in most cases, especially now those kind of team fights where everyone's separated. Why is Hanabi underneath this first tier tower when he just got dove again? Lil V is unstoppable.
Yeah, it's not like there's a Baron up on the other side of the map either. Like, there's no reason for J-Team to be sat top. So the fact Hanabi does push up a little bit, it's somewhat suspect. You have Lissandra solo pushing top though, so it's not all doom and gloom for PSG, while they do have mid-pro to work with as well.
There you go once again. Hanabi getting caught out, and the gold lead has now dwindled on the side of PSG, closing in on just about 1,000 after being down, what was 6,000 gold only about 5 to 7 minutes ago. And PSG, we kind of talked about this early on. This is a team that will kind of let you have what you want on the map for the first 15 minutes of the game, but then they come online. Then they look to fight back. Well, they did fight back, but it turns out Taipei J-Team, they have a second life when it comes to this game and are not backing down.
Absolutely not. They continue to trade back. They got the Baron, they got the denial of that Ocean Soul for now. And J-Team, their comp, while it does rely on the stars to align to really pull off a winning fight scenario, they've done it. They've lined it up time and time again. And if they can continue on that trajectory, then they should just be able to continue to run with this pressure.
There we go. Full control, it feels like, on the side of Taipei J-Team. Unfortunately, PSG, they're having to backtrack, and it kind of looks like a little bit more like, all right, can Unified carry these late game team fights? Once he gets his 4th, 5th item online, can we also see Hanabi get that perfect barrel combo? There is still options for PSG to win these team fights, but it's going to require pretty much perfect execution on their side.
Yeah, it definitely does put a lot of burden on these PSG members. That being said, though, they have the scaling. They have a very, very easily executable front-to-back team fight. They have 5v5 if they want it. We said they have these big hyper carries and so many ways into the fight in terms of engage, whether it's a Thresh Hook, Lissandra full combo, GP Cannon Barrage, Lee Sin Kick. So many ways for PSG to fight. And they need to do that. They need to fight on their own terms and stop letting J-Team get off these miracle combinations of ultimates.
Okay, so there Hanabi just going up to about his 2nd tier tower, kind of realizing, okay, I don't need to get too aggressive here. Baron back on the Rift. Once again, Taipei J-Team have been able to get themselves the vision control. Rest also has teleport available. J-Team already starting on this. PSG, are they just going to let this go down? You can tell something feels off here. Nobody has vision on the Baron pick. Now they finally realize with a blue trinket
Rest
that,
has TP.
Something is going to happen. Rest also with TP, if he wants to rejoin on this fight, has the home guards available as well. You do see Nesty trying to get himself into the best possible situation, and that's a very early Gangplank ultimate. Tank has to back off. No, he jumps
Rest
on
TP.
in, immediately gets silenced. The Inferma ultimate from the Moonlight Vigil, able to do some damage, but it is completely separated. There's
Rest.
3 fronts, but guess what? Unified still alive. Rest can't finish off that damn Aphelios, and PSG, they find the fight back in their favor. Lil V, only member remaining at full health, as Han is going to get taken down. It's a 4-for-0, and the teleport coming out from PSG in mid lane.
And Tank lives for an entire year there, finds his way into the enemy backline, engages that fight for the rest of PSG, and it's not over yet. Lil V, you are in trouble.
Unfortunately, that Ezreal able to kite back still. Might force River to maybe use a GA to try and finish him off. Yes, he will, but guess what? Mid lane, it's PSG. They don't care about the kills, at least if you're on the side of Hanabi and Unified. They understand. They don't need a Baron. They don't need a soul point. They can end the game here and now. Woody's going to try and hold it down, but that is not the case. And PSG, they get one last opening in the late game, and they take down Taipei J-Team.
And with that victory, PSG moved to tie for 1st in the PCS Summer midway through week 3. That was a really not clean game, but it was certainly something.
You take those games, all right? You take those victories, considering the fact that, you know, PSG, they kind of looked, there was that mid-game point where it felt like, okay, Taipei J-Team, all right, this is okay. This is working. They made their way back. They got themselves a kill lead, equal out the gold. Looking pretty good. And then they kind of all went 3 different directions in that final team fight. You had Rest on top of Unified, you had Nesty trying to kill Tank, and you had like River over on the side dealing with Lil V. Those separated team fights end up going in the favor of PSG just because they can't burst down the Aphelios. They can't burst down Tank in time.
I mean, on the plus side, no more Fiddlesticks Kryptonite for the side of PSG. They weathered that storm. They got through it. It went okay. Yeah, really concerning team fights at times from the side of PSG. A little bit of disrespect in terms of positioning. And then, yeah, the fact this fight still went their way, really, really crucial was the Lissandra just going crazy in the backline. It looked like they could fear and silence and then knock her down, but, oh man, such a tanky champion. Really disgusting to deal with.
And there you saw Unified too. He also got a decent amount of chunk damage coming out of the Moonlight Vigil to start off that fight. And then you had a, you know, a third of a health Fiddlesticks trying to, you know, engage upon your backline. It just doesn't work out. And in the end, well, there was that climb coming back out of Taipei J-Team around the 30-minute mark. PSG, one opening, one team fight. And they go ahead and just close out this game. Don't even mess with the objectives.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot of damage coming out of this GP alone later on. Rest, I'm a little bit underwhelmed with in that regard, actually. I thought the Wukong was doing a lot more work than he was. But then you're seeing the issue of this comp. If the Wukong Fiddle can't kill the Aphelios, they don't do anything. They don't have damage. They don't really have much of, well, any threat towards the enemy front line or back line, unless they can immediately burst out the Aphelios.
Yeah, that's just how it goes here, unfortunately, for the side of Taipei. J-Team looked good, but their undefeated run for summer does come to a close, and PSG are able to actually tie them in the standings as well as hold current tiebreak. Still, though, a double round robin. Taipei J-Team, they'll have their opportunity for a little bit of revenge, but PSG looking clean still. There was some, falter here and there, especially during those, messy, skirmishy team fights in the mid-game where Taipei were able to, again, find their opening. Still, though, able to clean it up and realizing that they can go ahead and end the game on a dime. That takes a lot of a lot of guts right away to make that call and just say end the game now. We don't want to mess around anymore.
Hanabi swinging MVP for himself thanks to his massive damage share. Yeah, sure. Okay. That was not a clean game, so I can't really give it to anyone, but sure.
Well, Hanabi, that smile, you see. That's the smile of a man that knows he gave up level 2 Flash and was almost killed right away, like we saw almost every game he has played on this bloody Gangplank, but he still gets himself MVP, and you can guess who we're going to have an interview with. We're going to go on over to Patty alongside Hanabi.
PSG 上路Hanabi。
好的，那当然第一个问题要先跟你聊一下了。今天你们是断了 J-Team 的连胜，有为今天这场比赛做什么特别的准备吗？
So you guys stopped JT's winning strike today. So did you guys come in prepared to do that?
其实也没做特别的准备，其实还很害怕输，因为对面的上路是瑞士嘛，所以我有点担心会输。
So we didn't actually prepare anything, but we're just worried that we're going to lose because JT's top laner is Rest.
那我相信你们可能没有对这一特别准备，可是一定有特别准备一下草人，因为毕竟你们首败就是输给了草人，所以今天又看到对方选出草人，有没有特别研究一下，怎么样的角色会比较好处理草人？
So this season, you guys lost your first game to a mid lane Fiddlestick. So do you guys went home and prepare how to fight against Fiddlestick?
我觉得打草人这英雄只要注意他的团战就好，毕竟他要从盲视野跳出来，就跟之前草人很像，所以只要注意这点，我觉得就能很轻松的战胜草人。
So I think it's easy to fight against Fiddlestick, and we're able to figure that out. If we know his ults and his Ws and everything, then it's easy to fight against Fiddlestick.
那最后一个问题就要分两个阶段来问。第一个是你的这个角色其实非常的多元，但其中有一个其实大家比较注意，就是当你使用坦行的时候，你整体队伍的这个落败率会比较高。想请问你有没有想要反驳的事情呢？
So we see on paper that when Hanabi plays tank style champions, you have a lower win rate. Do you have anything to rebut that, or are we able to see you on more on carrier champions later?
我觉得坦克玩的比任何东西都好啊，只是因为我的队友发育不好，才害我的坦克输了。
I think my tank champion is the best. So I think the only reason it seems like that is that my teammates doesn't perform as well when I play on tank champions.
好，那刚刚其实番姐也有讲到了，就是那你未来会考虑拿更多的 carry 角吗？
Are you gonna pick more carry champions later on?
毕竟之前闪电狼就在闪电狼是玩坦克的嘛，说实话我还是比较喜欢躺分的感觉。
So I played more tank champions on Flash Wolves in the past, so I actually prefer tank champions.
好的，那今天的最后一场辛苦了哈纳比，也恭喜 PSG 拿下这一场比赛，我们的访问也就告一个段落了。最后也是非常感谢翻译的姐姐。
All right, so we're getting a little bit more carries out of Hanabi right there. Yeah, I think the team at least is going to be happy that they're able to take home the victory, and it seems like they do have an answer now to this Fiddlesticks fight.
Yeah, definitely does set a good precedent for PSG moving forward. They've kind of redeemed themselves after beating the top team of the league. And actually thinking about the strength of their schedule so far, you had them already play against Machi, had them already play against J-Team, had them already play against HKA. Only a couple more of the real not one win only teams left on the table for them in this first round robin.
Yeah, so they can look at trying at least securing a couple more victories, and maybe this is the only loss that we saw was up against Hong Kong Attitude. We'll still have to see, but let's go ahead and review our happenings from our first day of Week 3 as we go ahead and take a look. Things started off with Nova actually finding 2 wins in the first 3 games as they were able to take down both Liab and Hong Kong Attitude. Machi also able to find themselves on the board. Alpha, unfortunately, both winless in their matches that they had here today. HQ able to bounce back after the loss that they suffered to Liab. And then, of course, PSG able to take home the victory over Taipei J Team.
Yeah, 2 good games to end out the day here with a lot of back and forth in one of them at least. But yeah, looking at the standings at the end of the day, you do have J Team still on top with PSG. Of course, PSG having that invisible tiebreaker, as it were. It means nothing because they'll play each other again, and then we can talk tiebreakers as to who's actually first in this league. But right now, there is again still a clear top half of the table, clear bottom half of the table. But surprisingly, Nova being dead smack in the center now after getting 2 convincing victories today. Very, very promising to see.
Yeah, so for Nova, I think they're rather happy they were able to bounce back and pick up both wins, and we'll see whether or not they're able to do the same tomorrow. They'll be taking on Machi, but of course we'll also have Resurgence going up against Alpha. PSG will be able to play up against Verjaya. Again, that should be a game that they are able to take home. Hong Kong Attitude versus Taipei J Team might actually get pretty spicy there. HKA can look to try and force a 3-way tie technically at the top of the leaderboards. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case. And then, of course, Taipei J Team will go up against, once again, Liab. We'll see whether or not Liab are able to find their footing after a rather unfortunate loss.
And then we have Machi versus HQ to round out the day, which looks hype because it's our 3rd place team versus 2nd place team from last split. But then you think to yourself, these are not the cards I was dealt at the beginning of the of summer. Let me tell you that much at least.
Exactly, not the best. And if you guys enjoyed the show, be sure to follow our channels, whether that be on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. You guys can check it out, LOL Pacific. You guys can keep up all to date with all the action regarding the PCS. And if you guys enjoyed casting, as always, go ahead and follow our Twitters down below, OpalCast and BrizLol. Thank you guys for tuning on in. That is going to be the end of our show today, and we thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.